let me ask you something. What's the most valuable thing you have? It's not your car, it's not your money, it's your attention. And right now, pretty much everyone and everything is trying to steal it. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the science of why we look.
Every single one of us gets this many minutes in a day, 1,440. That's it. It's the great equalizer. It hasn't changed since the dawn of time.
But what has changed is the absolute tidal wave of information coming at us. I mean, we're talking about the equivalent of 174 newspapers worth of data every single day. So our attention, which is finite, is getting stretched thinner and thinner across this infinite digital world.
So you gotta wonder, right? In all that chaos, why do some ideas just grab you and not let go, while most of them just disappear? What's the secret sauce? How does anything actually capture our attention?
Well, it turns out it's not random, it's not magic, and it's not luck. Capturing attention is a predictable science. It's built on a set of psychological triggers that are hardwired directly into our brains.
The best way to think about this whole thing is like you're building a bonfire. You can't just toss a huge log on the ground and hope for the best, right? No way! You have to build it in stages. And that's exactly how our attention works. See, first, you need a spark, something to ignite that immediate split-second attention. Then you've got to add some kindling to hold that focus for a little while. And finally, you add the big logs to grow it into a roaring fire, to build that long-term, lasting interest. Each of these stages needs a completely different approach.
So, let's start with that initial spark. This first trigger is all about bypassing your conscious thinking brain. It's about tapping directly into those automatic, almost primal responses we all have.
It's called the automaticity trigger. You can think of it like a mental shortcut. It uses super simple sensory cues, like a specific color, a certain sound, or a familiar symbol, to make us react before we even have a chance to think about it. It's our brain's ancient survival software just doing its thing.
Take a look at this wild study. Researchers had women try to hitchhike while wearing different colored shirts. For male drivers, a red shirt was in a totally different league. Over 20% stopped. This wasn't a logical choice. It was an automatic subconscious reaction to a color our brains associate with things like attraction and urgency.
And this isn't just about hitchhiking, of course. It's everywhere. In a simple website A/B test, they just changed the color of the sign-up button. One was green, the other was red. Any guesses which one got a 34% lift in clicks?
Yep, the red one. It got 34% more signups. And it's not because people sat there and thought, oh, I prefer red. No. It's because the contrast and the cultural association automatically drew their eye and basically screamed, click me.
Okay, so you've got the spark. You've captured their attention for a split second. Now you need the kindling to turn it into a real flame. And this next trigger, it works by grabbing our conscious mind and shaking it awake, by completely breaking its favorite pattern, prediction.
So picture this. It's Black Friday, right? The biggest, craziest shopping day of the entire year. And the outdoor brand Patagonia runs this full-page ad, and all it says is, don't buy this jacket. It was so bizarre, so completely the opposite of what you'd expect, that their sales actually shot up by 40%.
The science behind this is something called expectation violation theory. See, our brains are basically prediction machines. They're constantly, unconsciously guessing what's going to happen next. And when something shatters that prediction, like an ad that tells you not to buy, your brain slams on the brakes and goes, whoa, hold on. What is going on here? You're forced to pay attention.
Now we get to the big logs. This is how you create that lasting, roaring bonfire. This last trigger is, you could argue, the most powerful of them all, because it taps into the one thing that drives our deepest connections with each other.
You might remember this. This is Miles Scott, a 5-year-old boy in remission from leukemia. His one wish was to be Bat Kid for a day. The Make-A-Wish Foundation was hoping, maybe a few hundred people would show up. Instead, 12,000 people flooded the streets of San Francisco to turn the city into Gotham for him. Why? What could possibly trigger that kind of response?
It's called the acknowledgement trigger. We are fundamentally, deeply wired to pay attention to people and to ideas that make us feel seen, understood, and validated. In that one moment, 12,000 strangers were all acknowledging the fight of one little boy.
There's this fascinating study that shows exactly how this works. One group was asked to donate after hearing a big statistic about hunger. The other group was told the story of just one girl named Rokia. The results? They were stunning. People gave nearly twice as much money to help Rokia.
And that's the key right there.
Rokia's story allowed people to feel a real personal connection, to feel empathy. We can see her face in our mind's eye. We can feel her struggle. Just like with Bat Kid, our attention, and ultimately our action, follows our empathy. And empathy is almost always triggered by a single personal story.
So from the simple color of a button to disrupting our expectations, all the way to the powerful story of a single child, these triggers are kind of the invisible architecture of our world. They shape what we see, what we buy, and what we end up caring about. So the real question isn't just who has your attention, it's what are they building with it?